Welcome, heroes. Welcome, heroes. Did not mean to interrupt some of the conversations that were going on in the audience with my show. Ladies and gentlemen, live from New York, it's Thursday Night Unsung Heroes at the Creek and the Cave. Ba-na-na-na. That's right. Tonight's Unsung Heroes is all about the comedy force. It is Saturday Night Live. And guys, we're all just one audition away. All of us. Every one of us. Like, we're so close. According to my mom and my aunts, I should really be on that Saturday Night Live show. We're right there. And you know what? I'm sure they feel the same way about all you guys. It's been in my life forever. Everybody has seen some sketch on YouTube or something like that. That I feel like SNL is. If you're in comedy, everyone has seen something from SNL. We're going to talk about your favorites, your favorite cast members, your favorite characters, your favorite sketches, your favorite musical guests. That's a big deal that people forget about all the time on Saturday Night Live. Oh, you know what I didn't do? What? My name's Mike Mercadal. I'm the host of Zeros on Heroes, an in-studio podcast where I interview people about their heroes. But this is Unsung Heroes, where you guys get to be the heroes. I forgot to do that. How would they know who I am if it's literally just all of our friends that listen? So we're going to have everybody come up, talk about their favorites, and just nerd out on fucking comedy for a while. How's that sound? Does that sound all right? I will say, we'll go through my list real quick. One of my favorite sketches of all time and I can never find it. It's one of these that I saw one time and then I never saw again. And it was Will Ferrell singing, but he was on a slowly rotating platform. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Where he's singing the hits of something. I can't find it for the life of me. I've YouTubed it. And he starts to get nauseous because the rotating platform is moving just a little bit too fast. Just slightly too fast. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And then also the one where he's the devil and he has to write a song for Garth. Will Ferrell might be my favorite cast member, but I may have to go Mike Myers because of Wayne's World. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Everyone will do their favorite. Also, favorite musical guests is when the anniversary show with Beastie Boys there, and then Elvis Costello runs out, and then they play that song. They play radio with Elvis Costello. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because they cut off
that back in the day, it was a live show. This was back when comedy was legit. You know, now it's. Now it's but literally on national TV, he was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to do this song. And he starts playing another song, and it's not like they can do, they can't just be cut and start over. He just literally played whatever the fuck he wanted. Sinead O'Connor ripped that picture of the Pope. Little did we know how right she was. She was on fucking point. But let's enough of that shit. Let's get our SNL Unsung Heroes cast. First coming up, ladies and gentlemen, you know her, you love her. I got to do my Don Pardo voice. Helen Ehrlich. I didn't do the thing. Helen Ehrlich. What's up, Helen? How are you?
Good.
We're starting a show. First of all, how would you think you would do in an SNL audition? I've heard it's like a nightmare.
Yeah, because it's dead silence, right? That's the whole thing, is you perform to an empty auditorium with two people not making any response. So I think that I would legitimately break out in hives, but I also think that I would maybe go into a fugue state at the beginning and be doing doing okay. And then halfway through, be well, you're doing okay. So then it would slip, and I would start actually shaking. I would lose it in the end, right at the end.
You would adrenaline your way through the first half. Mm-hmm. The adrenaline would get the better of you in the middle.
I'd get cocky.
And then the adrenaline leaves you and you pass out at the end of your audition.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely blood loss on the subway.
That's a tough one. What is your favorite, who's your favorite SNL cast member?
That is so hard. I would think also I have to pick from when I watched the show.
Right. What's
I
your
love
era?
Will Ferrell, but I never. That was after.
That was your era?
That was before.
That
No.
wasn't your era.
Yeah, I was right after he left.
Okay. There were some dark years. There were some years where
I liked it. I didn't know, but I don't know. I watched it in and out, like 03, 04, and then I guess like 05, 06 started hardcore. So I liked Maya Rudolph a lot.
Oh, yeah. Okay. She was great.
I did want to highlight, I think an underrated performer of SNL is Taran Killam.
He's great.
Gone, and unfortunately, like, no one's, not forgotten he's working, but like from the SNL canon, forgotten. And I had already known him. He's married to Colby Smothers.
Yeah,
he had a cameo on her show on How I Met Your Mother, which I knew him before SNL. So he was the first person I was like, you're already working. Sorry.
I follow. No. I'm sorry. It's just I follow him on Instagram, and that motherfucker was in Hamilton. Like he
yeah, that's what he left to do.
Yeah, he left to go do Hamilton. He was King George.
But I think there was a period of time where he was like carrying the show a little bit. Like there are a lot of their like old veterans left, and they were breaking in some newbies, and he was sort of this transitional. Just every time you put him in a scene, he was fucking good, and he committed, and he was like, you know how they use Keenan now? Yes. He was that for a little bit.
Well, he was kind of like his presence, like Kenan Thompson. That guy could do nothing and he still gets a laugh. Like he's that guy that they just cut to him and Leslie.
But I don't think they did that for a long time. Like now, obviously, he's the longest running cast member. But I think for a long time, like they weren't giving him his due, and now he's great. And they were like cutting to him.
He won an Emmy already. Like he didn't he just win an Emmy?
Yeah, now I think he's doing great work now, and he's like a lot of respect. But it's like he literally had to become the longest running cast member to get in that position. I think.
He went from
I knew him from all that.
Yes,
so he's truly my heart. I love him.
Yeah. So who's your go-to? Taran Killam is your favorite? Is your go-to cast member?
No, he's my like underrated. It's so hard. I love like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Seth Meyers was my first celebrity crush.
Seth Meyers?
Seth Meyers. I would watch it with my friends in high school before we could drive and like beg my parents to not come until after Weekend Update and make my friends. I would be like, shut the fuck up, okay? Yeah. Seth is on. I would sit closer to the TV and stare in those beautiful baby blues.
You would literally zoom into the screen, like you would put your face closer to him.
There was like a rough sketch of a stalking plan in place.
Okay.
Because I read an article. There was like a profile of what he did on his day off during the week, and it was like describing like he went jogging in this place, and then he gets a coffee here, and blah blah blah. And I was like 15 or 16, and I was like, well, I live 2 hours from New York, so conceivably I could be getting coffee in that area on a Sunday or like whenever it was.
I'm just going to go into the city and hang out if we just happen to.
Exactly.
I feel like a celebrity having something like that written about them is just dangerous. Stalker fuel, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that just dangerous?
Like they're lucky. That was as far as it got. I also planned my outfit. That was as far as it got. But, you know, I'm not a man.
What was your Seth Meyers bait outfit?
Oh, real classic. This is also, please remember it was
I use the word bait because you're underage at this point. You're a teenager?
This is for trend purposes. Yeah, no, it's good that didn't happen because if he would have been into it, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
Like, I was such a weird, horny creep when I was 16 and just like, was like very sexually aggressive, and a lot of guys would like run away, and I would laugh, and like me and my friends would be like, ah ha ha ha. That was correct. That is the correct response. The guys who did not run away were weird creeps who did weird, fucked up shit. That sounds darker than it was, but like just not running away makes you weird.
Yeah. That would have been like you wanted his you if he would have responded to you,
it would have been bad.
It would have defeated the purpose of you wanting him, right? Because then at the time I would have liked it, but then in retrospect I would have been scarred from the experience. It's so creepy
because I was 16 and he was a full grown man.
That is weird. Well, do you want to know?
On that dark note,
I also have a list.
He had a project called Key Party that was in development. I used to Google him periodically. It was fine. It never got out of pre-production.
What's Key Party? That's a swingers party.
Yeah, that was like I guess he sold a script or an idea for a script that was going to be it.
Oh.
It never happened. You know, Hollywood dashes some dreams.
Oh, boy.
Maybe one day.
I figure for every guest, I'm going to leave you with a lesser-known SNL cast member. Did you know of the David Faustino, Bud Bundy from Married with Children was a cast member on Saturday Night Live. Yes, back in the day.
Before or after?
How does Marv? Oh, wow. I don't know. I have to see. But how do you feel about Bud Bundy having been on the... Do you feel like
Was it before or after?
It had to have been after. He was like a kid when he got on.
Well, then that's not... That seems like a bad environment for a child star. There was a lot of coke in the early 80s back there.
Fair enough.
I love to end on a high note. Always a joke.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Helen Erland. Coming up next, Brendan Gillis.
So do we do like opening monologues, like as if we're now guesting?
Oh, what do you feel that you would, first of all, how would you do on your SNL audition? What would you do?
Oh, I think I would do fine because I'm a high school teacher, so I'm used to like throwing out amazing material to people who just totally don't get it or do not appreciate it. And I'm like,
these kids don't appreciate my comedy.
Yeah, they could
genius.
be talking to each other and having a side conversation that people evaluate me or whatever, and I would still be going and doing like the thing. So like I'd feel fine.
Kids, I don't know if you noticed, but I am crushing right now.
Yeah.
I'm giving you A+ material.
Hey, could you pay attention to me? hold, like I see you. Take your notes, but like listen. I'm gonna do this impression. You need to get ready.
Like some kid's fart noise. Just you stepped on my punchline, you motherfucking.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, I don't think I would like win, but I think I would do okay.
Win, like it's a competition. It's
literally a competition.
It does.
Someone is going to win the spot.
Well, you know that they go looking for, like, sometimes nobody wins. Like sometimes, like they'll just be like, well, I guess we didn't find anybody this year.
Yeah,
they can always find one white boy with shaggy hair.
No, but I'm from the town over from Seth Meyers.
Oh.
So we've already had one. Oh. So there's no room for me ever. Because like we've already had like one like small New Hampshire region like send one person to SNL. Right. So you can't be like the other guy from Manchester.
You can't be per capita.
He's not known as the guy from Manchester.
He is in Manchester.
Yeah.
There was like an article about him in our local paper. And then he came back and did a comedy set at our local theater one time, and it was fucking hilarious.
Okay, well, he does comedy sets in a lot of places. So.
But he was like, I remember this theater from childhood.
Ownership of Seth Meyers. He's a citizen of the world.
Don't be jealous that Seth Meyers and I are basically neighbors.
No, I mean, he's married and he has children, and I'm sure they're very happy together.
There's some tension. Speaking of, what do you know about the behind-the-scenes tensions at SNL? Have you ever heard those stories?
What the fuck? No, I was not ready for that question. I was ready for, like, who's your favorite guest host? Who's your favorite musical? Who's your favorite cast member? Cecily Strong.
I guess you did.
Cecily Strong.
Yeah, she's so fucking good.
She's very good.
Mm-hmm.
The girl you wish you hadn't started a conversation with at a party? That's like one of the best sketches that's ever happened.
Which one is it?
It's a Weekend Update character. The girl you wish you had never started a conversation with at a party.
When she does,
it was when Seth Meyers was running it.
Yeah. She's great. She's super versatile.
Amazing.
She's hilarious. But she does a character where she's Michael Che's neighbor, crackhead neighbor.
Oh yeah.
Where she's like, Michael Che, and then she's like always trying to light a cigarette but never quite lighting it.
Yeah.
That shit to me is so funny. Yeah, she's a great cast member.
And Kate McKinnon as well.
Kate McKinnon is a genius. She's a national treasure. She might be of the current SNL cast. She's like leaps and bounds better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Her commitment is so impressive always.
Yeah. When she plays,
I feel like all the women right now are really strong.
It's a very strong cast right now. They're doing pretty well. Yeah.
The girl's name I always forget, who played the teen movie critic recently, which was so fucking funny.
Which one's that one?
Oh, I just looked this up. No, just
the new girl.
Yeah.
Heidi something.
Heidi.
She's new.
Last name.
She's not a full cast member yet.
Right. But she's very good.
That's like the feature cast members.
Yes.
She made it through R.A.P. Lucknow.
Do you have?
Okay.
Have you watched any of the original?
Like original?
Like old school SNL?
Yeah. I've watched some old school SNL. The only one that is coming to my mind right now is I'm Gonna Get Me a Shotgun.
Oh yeah, Garrett Morris.
Yeah, pushing a lot of boundaries.
First black Marvel character. He played Ant-Man in the sketch. Did you guys catch his cameo in Ant-Man?
Oh yeah.
When they had all the superheroes, they had him. He was playing Ant-Man, Garrett Morris. But he also had
I'm
gonna buy me a shotgun and kill all the whiteys I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
We also had a Best of Will Ferrell DVD when I was growing up, so I saw a lot of that.
Yes.
That was good. And I spent a lot of my free periods at school. I'm a high school teacher, as I said, like watching SNL.
Really?
Because the clips, they're short. They're like,
I think YouTube
digestible between classes. Not with my kids.
Oh.
Like by
No, they don't
myself.
deserve it.
Like when they leave and I'm like have a free period alone, I'll like sit in my room, like watch 2 or 3 of those.
You are one of
and
the
then
cool
do my lesson
teachers.
planning. What?
You're one of the cool teachers.
Oh,
I feel like Brendan's a cool teacher. I would have.
He has an earring, yeah.
He has an
2
earring.
earrings.
Oh, I can see the other side.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm a cool teacher, though, because today we were talking about different types of relationships, and someone was like, friends with benefits. And I was like, oh, yeah, and I wrote that on the board. And this girl was like, how do you know what those are? You're not even a teenager. As if that's like an exclusively teen thing.
Oh, what a naive moment! Like what a
I know,
nice-
right?
The innocence of youth.
It's
Yeah.
a seemingly innocent thing, but it just talks about.
But it's
fucking
also,
your
but it's like
friends.
not innocent because it's about having sex friends.
No, but the idea of like, oh, adults don't do this.
Yeah,
And
my
it's like,
27-year-old teacher doesn't know about this. He doesn't have a life outside this room.
Every single one of our ancestors love to fuck.
you are the product
The
of
children
people.
need to understand it.
We're here. Yeah. What we should? Are you going to dip into favorite guest host? I don't have one lined up.
You have you?
No,
tell
I
me
don't.
then.
I
What's
love,
your favorite?
I love the Wells for Sensitive Boys sketch
That
with
is
Emma Stone as the guest host.
Yeah.
Fisher Price Wells for Sensitive Boys.
the where he's just looking off
Yeah,
into
just gazing, and he's like looking down the thing. The other kid's like, "That's weird." Emma Stone's like, "That's because it's not for you, okay? Not everything is for you."
Emma Stone was a great guest. She's a really good, solid guest host. There's a couple people who really thrive in that environment.
The listening to Adele and crying and eating ice cream sketch that Emma Stone does, I think is such a classic, and that GIF. And it was just like sitting in off it. No?
No, I don't know this one. I gotta watch
vaguely
this one.
remember that. The Wells.
Okay,
Yeah.
Twitter knows it.
Yeah.
I
Do
guess
you
we
have
aren't teenagers.
Do you have a favorite musical guest?
I like Sia because she's like really fucking weird every time. And she had the guy doing sign language, which I don't know if it was actual sign language or not.
Was
it was
it
cool.
like interpretive dance sign language?
It was like a mime that was like probably doing ASL, but maybe not.
Like how
I
would
would
we
have
know?
heard about it if it wasn't real.
Right, like
I for
everyone would have been really
would have heard
mad
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, for SNL, they'll do the isolated vocal tracks, and I know there's one of hers, and she is like you know how that sometimes vocalists.
You
will
heard it
mask?
here first, folks. Sia's a good singer.
Sia's a good- well, they've
Controversial opinion.
Well, they've released some
Really?
where it is not good. It is.
Well,
there's
Ashley Simpson.
huh?
Ashley Simpson.
Yeah,
who
remember
was
that?
sick. Not her
Lana
fault.
Del Rey's television premiere.
Oh no.
God, the audience and then the people on here do not.
No. I'm trying. I
feel
heard
like
about that was one of those things I knew because of the public, like the public zeitgeist. But I never actually saw. I don't listen.
It
to a lot of
wasn't that bad.
What was she
just
doing?
But it
nervous.
wasn't that good, right?
Yeah, she was just nervous. It was like a middling performance. It was her first time doing TV.
So there
I
you go.
liked her, and people just don't want to tear a woman down. I don't.
Yeah.
Wait, what was so bad about it? That
She twirled around vacantly, and she was. So that's not great. It wasn't great. I'm not saying it was great. I'm
was
just
it-
saying it wasn't terrible.
The Ashley Simpson lip syncing thing is way worse. I think of that as she was just doing like this like weird
She did her
jig
her hoedown dance.
Yeah, she
is
did like a
how it was
hoedown.
described.
Yeah, and then walked away.
Well, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, you could soldier on, but like at that point, meh.
well, she's making
she
her
was
comeback
sick.
now on E.
You know, she needed cough drops.
You're defending her?
Did you
You're
follow it on Pieces
I'm just
of Ashley
saying,
on
like,
MTV
I'm
at the time?
I'm not mad that she walked away.
an Ashley Simpson apologist?
No, I'm just at that point. If someone did that, like if someone put on the wrong track for me, I wouldn't like stay on the stage. It's already bad enough.
Yeah.
Might as well get out of there.
That's like it's like that's my cue.
Yeah. Just I feel like there's some musical guests I'm forgetting, and probably some guest hosts I'm forgetting too.
Oh, there's. I mean,
Probably several cast members I'm forgetting.
there's a lot. Like if you think about it, it's been going on for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
There's a lot to dive into. You know. So
I was thinking about this. How has no one in the cast of Crazy Rich Asians been a guest host yet?
There's.
Are they
it's
going
gotta
to?
be.
Well,
It's all
Fucking
planned
finally.
out. Yeah, it's all planned out.
Not gonna host it?
Constance
no,
Wu.
she's an Asian woman.
Exactly.
We would have heard about it. Yeah,
No.
but that's not an NBC show.
Yeah. Let's talk about
So many great options.
Well, let's wait till everybody's on mic, and then we can have it for the podcast
Yeah.
listener. What would you like to know? A lesser-known, short-lived cast member.
I mean, you're going to tell it to me.
Yep, Randy Quaid was also insano, fucking weirdo. Randy Quaid was once, according to BuzzFeed, which I realize is not the most honest What, David Faustino is not on there?
But BuzzFeed journalism side or BuzzFeed like?
Am I looking at the wrong thing?
I mean, maybe he was not a full cast member, but he was featured.
Which short-lived cast member are you?
Maybe. But Randy Quaid, I'm pretty sure was. I remember, like, back in the 80s, that was when there was a few people.
That was when everyone was a cast member.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
A revolving door.
Like who?
It was a revolving door. Everyone just like came in and left.
Yeah, there was a period of time, like in the 80s, where it was like, you come in, you try it out.
Yeah.
That was when they were trying to get actors, like real actors on there instead of comedians. Because you know that Wells for Boys sketch was
Yes,
written,
I do.
was written by like Julio Torres.
Oh,
You know,
there's a
does
really
anybody-
good
You know Julio
background
Torres?
sketch.
He was like a New York guy. What'd you say?
There's a profile about the writing of that sketch that I believe Vulture or New York Mag wrote that you should look up on Wells for Boys. It's great.
Yep.
Because that sketch is great.
What would you like to leave us with?
Like, what am I promoting?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, well, I'm guest hosting SNL in a couple weeks.
Hell yeah.
And other than that, I have a podcast called Lunch Break Society with my good friend Noah.
That's right. Lunch Break Society. You know what, Ellen? I forgot to ask you. What would you like to promote before you go?
My Twitter is Tall Pale Curly, and I would love to talk about Ashley Simpson's rise and fall with people. Also, my Instagram is HRFE.
Ladies and gentlemen, Helen Ehrlich, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, Brendan Gillis. Coming up next, thank you so much. You know him, you love him, Box the Devil himself.
Yay!
John
I like when this happens. Also, I feel like now that I'm sitting by the drum set, I'm like the house band, you know, that the host can yell over to sometimes.
That's
And
totally... I don't
you
know. For the podcast listener, my visual setup is very literally, I wanted to do a talk show, and this is it. This is my talk show.
And I'm by the drums.
And you're now my Doc Severance. You're my Max Weinberg.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up, John?
Hi, John. I'm here now.
How are you?
I'm good.
Let's start with the lesser-known cast member this time, because I feel like it's death at the end.
Randy Quaid's a pretty good one.
Randy Quaid is a pretty good one.
But what you learn next will shock you. Click for more.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, okay.
Was a full cast member?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus was a full cast member.
How much of the cast of Christmas Vacation has been on SNL?
Wow. John, that was really fucking a good pull. Because that's a good... Chevy Chase... And that's it.
Quaid.
Yeah, Randy Quaid, and she was on SNL for 3 years.
Oh wow! 3 years is a lot for none of us to know that.
And then she disappeared, and no one heard from her again.
Yeah.
Okay, I have so much to talk about. This is just a weird thing.
So both of us can shut up, is what he's saying.
No. I'm just because there's no way this is going to come up naturally in conversation. But my parents knew G.E. Smith when they were younger.
G.E. Smith from the Saturday Night Live band?
Yeah, so he grew up about an hour away from my hometown, and then he worked the resorts. And my dad also worked the resorts as a photographer.
Oh, wow.
And he played in the bands, I guess. And the only thing they ever told me about him was that my mom remembers them telling her, like, I'm going to move to New York to pursue being a musician. And my mom was like, that's a bad idea. And then he ignored her. So good for him, because he had a very successful career.
Yeah.
He was on he was on Saturday Night Live in that band. He's an amazing guitarist, and he was leading that shit for decade, 2 decades.
Yeah, easily.
He was there for forever.
I mean, he was doing it when I was watching it.
All of that could have been destroyed by your mom just being like, no.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's one of those things I never really I was like, my parents told me that, I was like, okay, sure, I believe that 100%. But then I was remembering it while I was sitting over there. And I was like, I got to see if this is bullshit or not. And then I was looking it up his history, and I was just like, oh no, that 100% places them.
It checks out.
Yeah.
Did she also try to crush your dreams of moving to New York and becoming an artist?
I mean, my mom had, when I was really, really set on moving to New York, she was like, why don't you move, anywhere else? Because you seem to have having a lot of trouble finding a job in New York.
Yeah, my friend G.E. Smith did, and look how it worked out for me. Stay home.
So, I guess, guys, don't listen to my mom. my mom
Whoever tells you to not move to New York too late, don't listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe she like, you know, it's like in a movie, she has to say don't move because like someone has to do it to give the extra push of like, well, fuck you, Janet, I'm going.
Yeah, it's part of my hero's journey. That's the other thing with old fucking old school SNL.
Yes.
The first time I ever heard the joke, like, Jane, you ignorant slut, was my dad repeating it. But to my mom at the dinner table.
What is it with Catholic parents? And this is like the one time they'll say slut to each other.
Yeah, like I was just sitting there, my parents were having a conversation, and my dad just goes, Janet, you ignorant slut. And I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
And they're both like,
yeah. And then like they then realized that I looked like fucking deer in the headlights, and they just died laughing because like...
Which didn't help anything.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you're like, why is this funny?
Old SNL's weird, though.
I will say that like SNL was a big thing where it changed like what the jokes that you or the conversations you have, the vernacular you use with your friends, like all of these different phrases, like, you know, party on, excellent Wayne's World was a huge thing for us. And like whenever when the movies came out, forget it. Like those became huge like drivers of the way that I would communicate with my friends.
A weird sketch that like went like quote unquote viral in my school where like everyone was quoting it was that simmer down now.
Simmer down now.
Yeah. That one.
That was so great. It was Sherry O'Terry, right?
No, I don't think it was Sherry. I don't know who it was.
It was Sherry O'Terry. She played this like Cajun lady, and then the guests would come in where they'd be like, "What are you saying?" She's like, "Simmer down now." And then I remember one with Tobey Maguire.
Yes. Okay, that episode. Every fucking buddy's watched that goddamn episode.
The blow yourself yoga one.
Yeah, no, and then there's one where he plays Screech in the actor studio, and they ask him what his favorite curse word is, and he says sugar frosted nuts. My friends and I quoted that fucking episode so many times. It's a weird one that we all watched.
That's so funny because that's Simmer down now. There's eventually like sometimes it'll come out and no one will know, like a quote or something will come out and no one will know the reference.
Yeah.
And like I still say sibilance like into microphones, and that's straight up from Tom Hanks being on the Wayne's World. That's straight up from that. But if you don't like if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're just like, what is he saying?
Yeah.
Sibbles?
Yeah.
But yeah, what was your era of SNL? Who were the people
Will Ferrell. Like, I was definitely like I remember watching it when it was like Chris Farley and
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. That like, but I mostly watched those in like reruns on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And like Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan, Jimmy Fallon. I can't remember anybody else in that cast right now.
Rachel Dratch was probably
Sherry O'Terry.
Yeah, Horatio
Sands. That Christmas bit.
And I got
TV Funhouse was definitely big when ambiguously
Funhouse.
gay duo.
Molly Shannon, that was a good era of them also because there was that like lull in the 80s with apparently Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Randy Quaid, and then they came back and it was like
Robert Downey, right, as well.
Robert Downey Jr. was, spoiler alert on the rest
Sorry,
of the list.
guys.
But then they came back and in the 90s they had this huge resurgence.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to maintain it, but it didn't really hit. Like they didn't really come back until like Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon. Like it comes in waves.
Yeah. Do you guys? Because speaking of watching it in reruns, you know like the fucking Martin Lawrence's monologue.
Oh,
where
shit.
he went on this. Yeah, he went on this giant like thing about vaginas and shit like that, and it got banned. He got banned from being on the show after that. But then also they would show it in reruns, but when it got to the monologue, it would just cut to black and be like Martin Lawrence then goes on to describe what a woman's pussy or vagina smells like, blah blah blah, and it just cuts out completely, and then it comes back to like clapping, and him being like, "Okay, everybody, have a great this will be great." Like,
and that's when they do the musical guests who are like, "Hey, the Beastie Boys are here. Stick around. We'll be right back."
Yeah, and like I remember, like I never saw the original monologue. You can watch it now on YouTube, but I only ever saw it in that. And the first time I ever saw that, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Is this a joke? And my sister was like, no. And she explained everything to me. And I didn't believe her for a long time. I thought that it was just a gag. That it was just like, because it gets to the part where he starts to like really get into it and it just goes cuts and black screen, white text.
Because it's weird that they would describe what was going on. Like, if you're going to cut it out, just cut it out and be like, oh, Martin Lawrence continued talking.
I think it's like, well, that's what happened. So there's certain sketches that aired one time, and then when you would watch it on Comedy Central, it's an hour and a half show that they would cut down to an hour, so you wouldn't see the bomb sketches because some of these sketches would not land.
Oh yeah.
And like later in the show, like in the last half hour, you see the sketches that are not always that good when you watch it live, and you can feel the audience like, ugh. And I've had jokes bomb, but I can't imagine having a sketch bomb.
Yeah.
Something you've written.
You're committed. You're there.
You have to muscle through to the end on network live television,
or you just start laughing.
Oh right, yeah.
That shit.
Yeah.
Also,
Carol,
with thinking the Sinead O'Connor moment. Growing up Catholic, when that happened, like I had no idea what she was protesting. I just remember the outrage of like my family being mad about it and like the church being mad about it. And now, obviously, I now know how relevant it was and how right she was.
Yeah.
But I never knew up until this year. I didn't know what she was doing. Like, and like now
Same.
my home.
Up until this year,
she ripped up a picture of the Pope because priests fuck boys.
Well, she had been sexually assaulted. She had been by nuns and stuff in Ireland. Yeah, because it was in her history as well.
So now, if you're paying attention to the news at all, my home area, like the diocese I grew up in, is under a huge scandal because it uncovered a bunch of pedophile priests, and one of them used to be my teacher. What's up?
What?
Nice.
Yeah. And last time I was home, I had like an awkward conversation where my mom was like trying to get information from me about this priest, and she was like, because like she remembered some conversation where I had a conversation with a priest, and he said something that made me like start to
distance yourself from the church?
Distance myself from the church. And then she was like putting two and two together, but getting the wrong thing. So she was like asking me questions, but trying not to say the thing. And I'm just like, what? And I'm like listing all the priests that I went to, like, were my teachers.
He was like, this guy? Or this father, what's his name? No.
Yeah.
And then she's like, come on.
Yeah. And then finally, I said, we had the conversation. I was like, so why are you asking me? And she's like, no reason, just wondering. And I'm like, okay. And then like a little bit later, she's like, so turns out, like she just Googled this priest and was like learning all about him. This is a weird thing. Anyway, Sinead O'Connor. That's one of my...
people are also like looking back at Sinead O'Connor's moment and being like, oh my God, she was so right.
She was so right.
No one compares to her in terms of protest.
Boom, boom, boom.
But one of my favorite fucking jokes on 30 Rock is when they do the live episodes.
Okay.
And I think it's in the last season.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In the last season, Kristen Schaal is in one of the live episodes, and she's like planning to run up on stage and become a star during the live performance. And right at the end, her thing, she just runs up and rips up a picture of Sinead O'Connor, and she just like dead stares into the camera. And it is probably one of the hardest I've laughed watching television ever.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that is again the live element of it. I don't think translates as much as it used to because everybody watches it on YouTube now.
Yeah.
And also there's a lot of pre-recorded digital shorts.
Yeah.
Like the Totino's ads and Wells for Sensitive Boys. The aforementioned.
That Totino's, do you talk about the one with Kristen Stewart?
There's a bunch of them, but the Kristen Stewart one's so good.
Yes. God damn, that's funny. John, is there anything you'd like to promote before you go?
I'll just promote this. There is a cut digital short that went around last year, I think, and it's a doll that is the stepdaughter, or stepchild, so that your daughter can pretend to be the wicked stepmom.
What?
And it is so fucking funny.
Wow.
Both that and Wells for Boys were both written by Julio Torres.
Okay.
He's a genius. He's so fucking funny, that guy. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's an amazing, funny. It's a funny sketch.
You guys, but just might be fans of Julio Torres.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
John also does good art. Vox the Devil.
Oh yeah.
I'll promote it.
Follow him at Vox the Devil, ladies and gentlemen. John Smith.
I think I wouldn't hit my head on this every time.
Ladies, he's not here. Give it up for Alex Murray.
I don't care what your daddy says.
Yeah. All right. That is
Welcome
precognitive dance break I was doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted that sweet dance move.
Watching Tracy Morgan's face during that bit is so fucking funny.
There was a when they interviewed, I forgot who it was. I think Jimmy Fallon was talking about it, where they were joking around, like it was like a gag song that they were doing because they had that dumb guitar, and they was like, oh, we should just mess around with it. And then Tracy Morgan was like, I won't be in it. And then he's like, you want to just we don't have, what do you want to do? And he's like, I'll just stand there. And then he's like, okay. And then he's just standing holding the piano, the little keyboard, and that's all he does. And then he do the head turns and all that stuff. It's so fucking good. That's so dumb.
I do not know this sketch. I was just dancing.
Really? Wow, really? Oh no!
I'll look it up later.
Here is
yes, awesome. Lesser known cast member.
Next on the list of lesser known cast members. Well, that one's pretty well known.
Ian McKellen.
Did you know? Would you say Ian McKellen?
Yeah,
he would crush it.
He was
good
great.
At everything. Janine Garofalo was a cast member for half a season.
Is that it?
In 1994. Do you want another one?
I just feel like I assumed that Janine Garofalo was on it for a while when it sucked.
I don't see Janine Garofalo flourishing in that environment.
No, she's weird and into her own head.
She definitely because that was the time also of when the Ben Stiller show had come out.
Sure.
Do you remember on MTV? And MTV was stealing all of these stealing comedy away from the mainstream, and that was all these alt comics started getting famous. So then SNL was like, oh, we need these alt comics.
Okay, that makes sense. So we got to get who else? When was that? When was she?
1994.
94. Yeah. But that was right when it got real goddamn good again, right? Was that
probably
she was there right before?
Probably because she was only there for half a season.
And they were like, no, let's get Chris Rock on here.
Yeah,
awesome.
Chris Rock was great.
I mean, that was it. That was the era for me. Those the mid '90s was it. I mean, I watched in middle school. Middle school was we'd stay up late and because I didn't have a car and you couldn't go out anywhere, and you'd steal some liquor from your dad and stay up late with your buddies and wait for midnight on Saturday night and watch fucking Adam Sandler and Chris Farley and
I think
David
also
Spade.
The technology of the time also, because even in the 70s, when it came out, it was appointment television. It was adult appointment television. You can't watch it again. There was no if you missed it, all you had were the stories of people talking about it later on. So when VHS came out and you could record it, I think a lot of people were recording it that night, and then they would watch it in the morning, kind of like what you do now with YouTube.
Yeah, so I think also kids were staying up and watching it with their parents. It was a weird that would happen.
Yeah.
I also think it's 12 years old is the target perfect
absolutely.
audience.
And they're also the people watching the cartoon. They're watching the commercials that they're getting made fun of.
Yeah,
it's juvenile cocaine humor.
It will not shock me that if most people come up here and say oh yeah, my favorite era is the Will Ferrell thing, because that's roughly around when we would all have been in that age range.
Yeah, that teen comedy.
I mean, that's
age.
We listened to Adam. That fucking they're all gonna laugh at you, Adam Sandler album, man. In seventh grade, that fucking album we played it over and over. And over. You're talking about quotable lines. They're all gonna laugh at you. Just over and over. Or fucking $1.95, pal, man. Fucking Toll Booth Willie.
I'm coming out of the booth.
I'm coming out of the booth. My favorite sketch on that one was the guy who starts peeing and can't stop. Yeah, and I just lost it. It's just 3.5 minutes of urinating noise and this guy going,
I got that album by showing it to my dad and being can I get this? And putting my thumb over the parental advisory thing.
Yeah. That was like an early on parental advisory, too.
And my cousin and I were like, yes! And then we like ran upstairs and hid in a room and listened to it.
Yes. See, there you go.
Yeah.
There is that attitude of it.
Well,
like,
there was also
you got a tape or whatever, you're going to watch it without your parents knowing, I guess.
There was the Adam Sandler, those albums were like what you would listen to. It was like you had to sneak, because there was literally a whole sketch where it was...
Porn or Working Out, man, was also on that album. Yeah.
The guy where it was like the family of like the mother was like, play with your cock and balls.
Oh my God, your cock and balls. Let me play with your cock and balls.
There's so much weird, like,
damn it.
And again, these are the kind of things where
clearly aimed at just 11-year-olds. Yeah.
But and it's also like if someone got those references, like it's not as widespread. Like it's not like you could just find it now, like you can now. You could just Google it and YouTube it or whatever. You had to like know what it was.
Yeah, you had to go to a store and buy the damn thing.
And if someone knew what the goat was, I'm a fucking goat.
Yeah. Fuck me in the goat.
Fuck me in the goat. If someone knew what that was, you were automatically friends with that person because you had that in common. Now you could just Google whatever,
Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Fuck me in the goat ass. Yeah, that's it.
Hey, why don't you come on, tie me from this truck? Like that. It's fucking. It's so good, right?
Whip the fucking cinder block at my head, man. God damn.
Oh my God.
The old man beats me with the stick. And like, have we got the whole? I mean, we've got the whole track list. The Hanukkah song is on there, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
man.
So there was Adam
Sandler. Fucking Adam Sandler.
Talking about Adam Sandler
Opera Man
on
funny
SNL.
As shit.
His Weekend Update shit was some of the best stuff, like Cajun Man.
Cajun Man, which would become eventually Bobby Boucher. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, so he was talking about like going. I remember there was one where he's like talking about going to New Orleans, and he's like, "Oh, what are you going to New Orleans?" And then at one point he's like, "Inebriation."
Inebriation.
Yeah. Concentration. Yeah. It was so dumb, but it would be perfect.
All of it, man. And also like aimed at middle schoolers. I love the sketch. The four guys I just mentioned is the lay off me, I'm starving. The four girls at the mall.
The Gap Girls.
The fries. The Gap Girls. Yeah. Oh my God. That's just like, I mean, that's funny if you hang out in malls with your,
And also, like, if the characters that being dressed as women, they're obviously dudes and they do cross-dressing as women, and seeing Chris Farley just leaning into... Chris Farley is a fucking genius.
Yeah.
Nobody's mentioned him yet?
Have you seen the documentary I Am Chris Farley or whatever it is? There's like a documentary about Chris Farley. It does not...
It's going to be all sad about how lonely and on cocaine sad, he was. I don't want to think about that.
No, but the parts... it's like the behind the music where like it's all great and all this stuff, and then it talks about like the decline. Yeah, but even the decline, his friends are talking about some funny ass shit. Yeah. Like it was crazy. Like that era was probably like when I was like, oh, how do I be funny? I was learning how to like what makes like why is people laughing?
I was a fat blonde kid with shaggy hair, so like I had to lean into it hard. I can't tell you how many times people were like, you know who you remind me of? And I was like, Chris Farley, fuck you.
As a fat person, Chris Farley was like, this is my only hope. You know how many little coats I wore in high school just to make things stop happening? Like, if I just do this, will you leave me alone?
Please stop throwing things at me, fat guy in a little coat. Tommy Boy's funny as shit.
Tommy Boy's still...
Did we bring that up on Road Trip Movies?
It was on the list.
God damn it, dude. That movie's good as hell.
Yeah. What was your favorite guest host or musical guest?
Man, there was a really weird... Jane's Addiction was a musical guest in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, as a kid in middle school at some point, I was watching Jane's Addiction and they're playing Jane Says, and I was like, is that Flea playing the bass for no apparent reason at all? And it was.
They were just hanging out. He came out.
I guess he was just there that night for whatever reason. For a little while there, he was part of the band, right?
He was touring with them because they were buddies. And then later on... And then, Dave Navarro with Joe.
They're all buds. And, I mean, I imagine they all did lots of heroin together.
Sure.
And, man, that sticks out of my head at some point. And I think I immediately, like, because of that, went to Peppermint Music, which was the indie music store in Rome, Georgia.
Hell yeah.
And purchased Nothing Shocking and One Hot Minute. And, like, 1 Hot Minute rules.
I love it. Alex, is there anything you'd like to promote before you go? You got stuff. I know you do.
I mean, I always do. It's the same stuff. Yeah, dude. Watch Millennium streaming on Amazon Prime. Listen to Mr. Cool Guy. Thanks for the share, by the way.
Always,
on
buddy.
the internet. And actually, you know what? Yeah, listen to Mr. Cool Guy podcast. This week's was real good. We've turned some sort of idiotic corner where we're figuring out the game, and it's fun.
It's one of those things I listen to on the train, and I'm just shaking my head like, what the fuck is going on? It's one of those crazy things that doesn't make any sense, but you can't look. It's like a car crash.
Seeing the episode images that you post, is like looking into the mind of madness.
I mean, this week's is me and Paul riding on manatees through a.
I feel like it's going to be like a magic eye if I stare at it enough. It'll
there's an answer in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's just me on a manatee.
Listen to Mr. Cool Guy podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Alex Murray. Coming up next.
I can't shake anybody's hand today. Sorry, John.
Featuring, not at the end of the show, in the middle for the first
Holy
time
crap.
in a while, Toby Nelson.
Hey.
There's a lot going on.
Yes. So there were 4 people in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation who were in the show.
Wait.
Brian Doyle
John Candy?
Murray is the other one.
Oh, Brian Doyle Murray was in the
Who
cast.
the fuck is Brian Doyle Murphy?
He's
Brian
Bill
Doyle
Murray's
Murray.
brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to get on that mic.
Yeah.
You, the one I had selected for you.
Oh.
No, I mean, it's just I didn't want to pull the next one. These were people that were on the cast. Sarah Silverman was it? Same time.
That makes sense.
Wait, really?
Right there.
The two of them together?
Less than a full season stint in 1993.
I want that buddy comedy.
So we have Lunch Ladyland.
Yeah,
It's some-
that's right.
you know.
Holy shit.
She's what? She's from the same town as Seth Meyers, Brendan Gillett. There's 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Where's Helen Ehrlich? We're gonna fight. Brendan Gillett and Helen Ehrlich are gonna fight. But yeah, there's a lot of those. There was an era where people were getting bounced out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, that's
They
so.
said-
Worked
they said
out
it
all
was
right
a
for
boys'
Sarah.
club and a toxic.
Sure, yeah.
It did seem like one of the highest stress environments.
Are they friends?
Who?
Sarah Silverman and Janine Garofalo?
I don't know. Jean Garofalo's here in the city. She performs all the time.
Yeah, I know.
She's
She performed. She was at Too Many Cooks.
Yeah, she's
just
always getting up.
yesterday? I don't know.
Yeah, you can find her around town.
I'm trying to think of something that they both might have been in, but nothing's coming to mind.
She does Eastville all the time. Yeah.
My friend Jordan Burnett played the Janine Garofalo role in the musical adaptation of Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion.
Romeo and Michelle's. Oh, really?
Yeah,
There's a musical version of that?
Oh, yeah. They premiered in Seattle, I want to say, and they're trying to bring it to Broadway now.
That's how, or L.A. It started in L.A., but that's how Rock of Ages got started.
There's a lot of shows
There's a
that
bunch of
start,
stuff
that
like that.
start
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Who is your favorite cast? What era was your SNL exposure?
Well, the first episode I ever saw happened to be with Madeline Kahn in the first season of the show. Like, the first season.
I will say, and I'll break. One of the reasons I picked SNL also this weekend, that Love Gilda documentary is coming out.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh,
it's like
coming out
Gilda
now.
Radner.
Yeah, no,
And
I know.
I couldn't go. Yeah, the show couldn't not go any further without talking about Gilda Radner. But trying to lean people into the old episodes, but that's
She's in a sketch that's like a slumber party or something like that with Jane Curtin and Gilda Radner and Madeline Kahn
Jane Curtin and
that I need to rewatch.
So good.
yeah, that's like iconic. Like she's also like the trendsetter. She was so fucking funny, and a lot of it holds up. Like even like the
Rosanna Dana is funny as absolute shit.
all the
always,
crazy.
still
Yeah,
now.
and she's like my cousin Carlos Santana, Rosanna Dana. And, like she always has like a bunch of shit, and she like kind of I think really made that Weekend Update guest segment her own. Like she was the only one of those old ones that I really remember.
I've never. That's the thing. That's the only episode I've seen from that era.
Really?
Yeah, and it was when I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. And Madeline Kahn was my favorite actress growing up.
Of course.
Like I love her. If you don't know who she is, listeners or audience, she was Lily Von Shtupp in
Blazing Saddles.
In Blazing Saddles.
Mel Gibson.
Flames
I'm sorry.
coming out
she
of
was
my
Mrs.
face.
White in
Yeah.
Clue.
The only person person who was allowed to improv any lines in Clue. Everything else was 100% scripted.
Is that real?
And then for the flames coming up the face thing, she was they let her go.
Heaving breaths. She also was supposed to play the Terry Garr role in Young Frankenstein, but she said that she wanted to do anything besides broad comedy because that's what she'd always done, especially for Mel Brooks, and so that's why she has the fiance role.
She's so funny.
Taffeta, darling. Taffeta, sweetheart. Know the dress. It's taffeta. Wrinkles so easily.
She was to me one of the funniest people of all time because of all of the Mel Brooks stuff. She's amazing.
Yeah.
What was
6 or 7 quick ones, and then you're off with the boys to boast and brag.
I think my favorite person right now is A.D. Bryant. I can't believe nobody mentioned her.
A.D. Bryant
I think she's fucking hysterical, and like whenever I see her in anything else, she's always so fucking funny. She commits very, very hard. Kate McKinnon obviously is the most talented one right now, but she doesn't need she doesn't need to be my favorite. 80 needs to be my favorite.
Sorry, which one is 80?
80's the big gal.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Word.
She's like an awesome. She has a ton of like really good utility roles. Like she's in a lot of my favorite sketches as the like straight man or the person who's in like because in the alien abduction sketch, like in that Ryan Gosling episode where she like the Kate McKinnon does the alien abduction thing. She's an FBI agent.
The alien abductions, the first one of those that I watched, I cried laughing. I had to run to the bathroom.
Yeah,
I mean, poor Ryan cannot handle it. It's the best part of that.
That's absolutely the best part of it. He's just like, well, trying to keep it together, and like Kate's like, that was a different experience than me, you know. Like,
they walked in here, batted my titties around.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, that's so.
No, this felt real off the books. That's my favorite line, where she's like, "This felt real off the books." But look, okay, so think about that.
And Taran Killam was my other favorite recently.
Yeah.
He's in my one of my favorite Community episode, which is the Glee episode of Community.
Oh, where they do that.
He plays
we can have fun and we can be nice. Or there can be another bus accident.
The evil Glee director, and I had to sing this one little part of the song that he uses to get Abed into the spirit. He says, "Glee, it's the feeling you get when your brain finally lets your heart get in its pants. Glee, it's like a drug that you use that turns pain into shoes and turns shoes into dance." And it's he's
such a good episode.
The aforementioned. You know who's
he's got a new show out that looks awful.
The Single Parent.
It doesn't look very good.
But he's definitely been like a hired gun, and they're trying to find something for him.
They're trying real hard.
They
to
are.
find
I know.
something
and
for
that's
him.
nice.
Going back to the alien abduction, look who the aforementioned Cicely Strong is in.
I love her.
She's
so much.
there.
I love the women
Kate
that
McKinnon,
are on the show recently.
A.D. Bryant, and then Bobby Moynihan, who I think is also.
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to mention
hysterical.
Bobby Moynihan, and because of the Rick and Morty episode, Interdimensional Cable. They watch SNL, and it's like still going in the future.
Yeah.
And it's like Jarmanarnar, like a bowl of soup, and in his 50th season, Bobby Moynihan.
Yeah.
And like Rick's like, I hear the Bobby Moynihan and the bowl of soup really fucking hate each other. Like some shit. It's so,
but that's
too much.
The cast now is like they've set up this foundation. I don't know if who's been cycling through or what they're like, who's leaving and whatnot. But I know Bobby Moynihan left.
Yes, to do a show that did not go anywhere, that had the little kid who played Eddie in it. And as the young version of Bobby Moynihan, and John Larroquette as the old version of Bobby Moynihan.
I saw a poster for that in the subway. and was just like, oh no!
I saw a lot
we
of
have
posters
wasted
for
some
it.
money.
There's an element of that's what SNL was for.
How did those people grow into each other?
It's okay.
Yeah, but there's also that element of SNL being like the launch pad for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Like Eddie Murphy got his fucking start on like he was doing stand up, and then he turns into like the biggest movie star of his era. Chris Rock. But then you get people like Tim Meadows, who goes off and he does. I love Tim Meadows, but in SNL,
nobody said the words Tina or Faye yet tonight, which is weird.
Yeah,
I think of Tina as more as a writer, to be honest.
Sure, but I mean, Weekend Update, one of the Weekend Update people, but it's for sure her launch pad.
Yeah, and I like Weekend Update.
What was your favorite guest host?
Honestly, recently it was Kristen Stewart. She was so really shockingly funny.
Yeah,
like and
her
opening monologue was so great when she talked about how like Trump was upset. Like Trump used to tweet at Robert Pattinson that like Kristen, Kristen's trash. She doesn't deserve you. Find a better woman. I can introduce you to people.
Did you not know that? You didn't know this story? Did you not?
Oh my God! Really? It's very strange. He tweeted at him a lot about this, and
Trump was like going to bat for Robert Pattinson. Like you could do better, bro.
Yeah,
wanted to be his wingman.
So she referenced this on the show, and she's like, "I know that I know you hate me from all your tweets and stuff, and you're gonna hate me even more by the end of this because I'm super gay."
What was the
Totina's Pizza Roll sketch where she's
I love that sketch.
Seducing Vanessa Bayer is also great.
Well, yeah, but is she still Vanessa Bayer's out?
I haven't.
She left right when Bobby won.
Yeah,
I haven't seen this season. The Kristen Stewart one's the last one I watched.
What are the odds that Trump is a huge Twilight fan?
Real good.
Yeah, good.
It's gotta be
definitely.
Good. I'd say 100%.
100% that he loves Twilight. And that's
I'm all in on that action.
This actually segues into the one thing I definitely wanted to mention, which was the article that I shared about how they wrote a bunch of jokes about Harvey Weinstein, obviously right after the stuff happened.
Oh yeah, to give us some of that hot goss.
Yeah, and then they didn't use any of them. Like they wrote
for the Harvey Weinstein stuff.
Yeah.
Why?
Like other people said it's because it didn't land well with the audience. All right, but Lauren is asked about it, and he says we're just not going to go there. It's a New York thing, and like it's not a New York thing. Also, Donald Trump Jr. tweeted about this. And where is my father from again? And I'm like, fuck, don't make me agree with Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah. It's like, God damn it.
Like, the Alec Baldwin horrible, really inaccurate Trump impression has been something that's been, like, huge on the show. So obviously it's not a New York thing. It's a you're kissing Harvey's ass thing.
Well... I mean, it's 100% like they're buddies and they gotta like
for
there's some
I'm
connection.
like, just don't make me say that Donald Trump Jr. is right about
it's
something.
Like, that's the point. God, it hurts my soul. Toby, is there anything you'd like to promote before you go?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing Maura's show on the 26th.
What show?
This Tuesday, I'm doing Maura's show.
Yeah.
Which we'll get more details
she'll tell the
later.
details.
Yeah.
24th. Yes, 24th at 8. 10 p.m. Well, she'll get up here and she'll tell you.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this game of telephone, but we got to keep the show rolling.
It's very fun. I just want to say one more thing. I love the fucking Robert Goulet sketch.
Oh, Goulet.
Yeah.
Robert Goulet.
Yeah. I love that so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Toby Nelson. Coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up to the stage, AJ Thompson. I feel like that was the message. What's up, buddy?
Oh, Shane is here. I was going to be the heel, but...
there he is. Okay.
I'm still going to do it.
Why? Who are you going to pick?
My favorite SNL era was Mad TV. I was a Mad TV kid. Fuck y'all. All the shit y'all been saying. I'm like, what the... Alex was translating.
Mad TV. I don't know.
I did watch Mad TV as well.
Alex was translating all this white nonsense that's been happening on stage all evening. I was like, what are they saying?
Did you not know who Sinead O'Connor was at all?
I kind of remember that she existed because of that. But
oh, man.
I didn't know that she tore up the Pope.
So you didn't watch... The venue where I worked at was a mess.
The only reason why I knew the Simmer Down Now is because my 6th grade teacher used to say that to us, and we all thought she was corny. It was a room full of black and Latino kids making fun of this old
the Simmer Down Now. I still love it. Fuck you. You're wrong.
But I remember that. I was like, that does give me fond memories of being loud in class.
So you never watched SNL at all?
I didn't watch SNL until it was like on Comedy Central regularly.
Okay.
And even then, only because it was on Comedy Central and I didn't change the channels.
Wait, you were watching the reruns?
Yeah, it was just straight reruns.
Who was on there?
So I fucks with All the black people, just always better. So Garrett Morris and fucking Tracy and Ellen Cleghorn, even we don't fucking matter.
Ellen Cleghorn,
Finesse, yes, Finesse Mitchell.
He was good, man.
Yeah,
he was good on that show.
Sashir got fucked up by the show because she's funny as fuck in real life. But they didn't give her good stuff to work.
Where do you stand on the Black Jeopardy sketch?
I like it. The regular Jeopardy was funnier in my memory. Celebrity Jeopardy was funnier. Also, how y'all haven't said R.I.P. Turd Ferguson yet? Y'all are disrespectful.
Turd Ferguson.
Oh
no.
So I do remember those are the ones I remember. But this is the thing also. So I love the Black Jeopardy ones. The last two were really funny. Although I feel like they took
the last one, the one with the Black Panther.
Yeah.
The potato salad. Yeah. That shit's so funny.
That shit was great. And I think the one before that was the Tom Hanks.
That Tom Hanks one.
That was.
I love Tom Hanks with all my heart and soul and every fiber of my being.
I hope he never gets in trouble for nothing.
He will never get in trouble for anything. He's a pure soul, Tom Hanks. I hope. Toby, where are we on that?
He cheated on Rita with what's her name, Jennifer Goodwin. But
Who's
honestly,
Jennifer Goodwin?
She was on Big Love. And she's Snow White on Once Upon a Time.
This is more white nonsense.
Okay, I don't know.
She's very cute. So honestly, an affair. It's almost adorable these days. You know, all the things you could get mad at people about. So that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mad TV was, but I will say,
I it's one of those things where I'm like, don't you say a bad thing about Tom Hanks? I understand, but in all fairness, that's pretty tame compared to but that Black Man. That Black Jeopardy with him, where he's wearing the Trump hat and everything.
Yeah.
Fucking funny.
And he's like, I agree with everything y'all saying, except for that y'all people. But other than that, this is great.
And the final,
I don't think I saw that one.
The final category was lives that matter.
Yeah, that was the one. That was good.
That was great.
I will say, there was the part where they were doing the commercials in the Black Panther one, and it was so funny because
the Black Jeopardy sponsors.
Yeah, it was so fucking because I was doing a joke about one of those things, and then Ernest James used to do a joke about the other one. So one of them, he used to do a joke about Sprite being black people soda for some reason, and I was doing a joke about
why are we the black people soda?
Yeah. That shit was mad random. And
no, he said we used to have to obey our master. Now we have to obey our thirst.
Yeah, he used to do
that was Ernest's best joke.
I wish I could remember the other bit because I was like, I was fucking doing that as what the fuck.
There was. I love the good chair. Yeah, that was a good one. Car tape. Yeah, because Granddaddy needs someplace to sit. Give him the good chair.
So
those ads are fucking.
I feel like I don't know if this was all of my friends, but we only knew about SNL characters because of the movies, not because of SNL.
Yeah.
So I love the Ladies' Man, and I didn't realize that was a thing until.
Ladies' Man secretly.
Wait, I can't. Your mic's dead. What is it? The Ladies' Man?
The Ladies'
Man is secretly super fucking funny. I can't imagine watching it now. I feel like I would be
very
upset.
cringe. Yeah.
But when I was a teenager, I was like, oh, this is fucking hilarious.
What do you think the best movie to come out of an SNL?
I mean, the only one I liked was Ladies, because I remember the dude Chris Kattan and
the Land at the Roxbury.
When they did the Roxbury. That was a weird one. But I only knew that because
worst person I've ever seen do comedy live.
He's terrible.
I hate MacGruber.
I didn't pay. I was working.
I didn't like MacGruber.
MacGruber, the movie.
Did not like the movie. No.
I will tell you.
I did not. It was dumb.
I will die on this hill.
Go ahead.
MacGruber is one of these movies where I did not like I did not understand what I was watching. But there's the scene where he fucks his dead wife's ghost in the cemetery. That
Go on.
I cannot tell you. And it's Maya Rudolph, and Maya Rudolph can't even hold it together. And it goes on way longer than it should, and it's
that whole movie went on way longer than it should have.
Nah, man, that shit is funny, dude. I love that movie.
But yeah, Mad TV, that was me all day.
Who was your favorite Mad TV? Give me a rundown.
Let's see, Orlando Jones or Phil Lamar, Will Sasso, fucking like all these Deborah.
I met Mo Collins at her husband is a huge Miami Dolphins fan.
Oh.
And I was at the Miami Dolphins fan and I was like, hey, are you Mo Collins? I love you. You're great. I loved her on Parks and Rec as Joan Calamezzo.
Oh, yes.
And I loved her. And we talked about comedy and shit for like
Bobby
20
Moynihan
shit.
might have been on
She was
there.
way nicer than she had to be. She was super really down. And we were watching the Dolphin game. This
Someone
so
check
absurd.
that for me. I think Bobby Moynihan might have been on there.
No,
Really?
Bobby Moynihan.
I'll definitely look it up.
Key and Peele for sure.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they were on there. I remember my
Adam
brother
says
loves this
Taran
one
Killam was on there, too.
dumbass sketch about Post-it notes. My brother loved that one about
Michael
Key.
McDonald was,
he's great.
was Stuart with the Look What I Can Do. Stuart. Yeah. What would you like
Yes,
to?
that's the one I remember. He looked like a man.
Well,
Miss
what would you
Swan.
like to?
My favorite musical guest again was on Mad TV. Corky and the Juice Pigs. I don't know if anybody remembers that. You remember Corky and the Juice Pigs? Yeah, the only gay Eskimo. That was my favorite shit right there.
What?
One I know. Thank you. See. Y'all go look that up. Have some fun with that.
Oh Lord!
But then I guess A Tribe Called Quest when Chappelle was on there because
Yeah, that was a big
that was
episode.
Rest in peace.
Is there anything you'd like to promote before you go?
Just follow me at AJ the Humorist on Instagram, Twitter, in the Creek in the Cave, Long Island City,
The Creek in the
1093 Jackson
Cave
Avenue.
in
How
Long
it goes.
Island City,
Yeah.
Queens. You got to add that Don Pardo vibrato.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for AJ Thompson. Coming up next, you know him, you love him. The bad boy of Unsung Heroes. Give it up for Shane Gale.
Yes. That's a heel.
Easy dunk. Easy dunk. Easy dunk. Easy dunk.
Yeah. He's spraying beer all over the place. He smashed it over his head. It's insane. Shane, welcome to the show.
Hi.
What's up, Eddie? We're talking about SNL. Do you want to know what a lesser-known
didn't
SNL
tell
cast
me one.
member? I'm gonna tell you one.
I
Huh?
said Ellen Cleghorn, though. You didn't tell me one.
Yeah, because you jumped
Ellen
in.
Cleghorn.
Yeah, Ellen
That name
Cleghorn.
sounds so white.
But she was on there
black.
forever.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Whoa!
Yep, he was. It was back in the 70s.
Gilbert Gottfried was on the SNL in the 70s?
He was. Do you know? A lot of people don't realize that Chevy what?
Oh, Taran Killam was on Mad TV.
Taran Killam was on Matt TV. Okay.
He was also on
he's
Wild
pretty
Now.
cool.
A lot of people don't realize that, like Chevy Chase was one of the original cast members.
Yeah.
He was only on there for a year.
Wow.
I only know the sketch where he called Richard Pryor a nigga, and so I don't fucks with him.
I mean, who amongst us didn't want to? Who didn't want to do that? I don't know.
That's fair.
He wrote that. Like Richard Pryor wrote that sketch, and also he wrote with Mel Brooks. He wrote Blazing Saddles.
Oh yeah.
But he wrote with a lot of people. Shout out to Paul Mooney.
Yeah.
Paul Mooney. Yeah.
Stories for days about them.
Wasn't Paul Mooney on one of these sketch shows too?
He was on Chappelle's show a couple times. Chappelle gave him a little.
No, I think back in the day, wasn't he on? There was something because Kramer was on it. Michael Richards was on one called Friday. Something Fridays. There was like it was called Fridays. It was like a rip-off Saturday Night Live that ABC was doing. And whatever. Do you have a favorite?
Living Color did it better.
Wow.
Do you have? But Matt TV wasn't live, right?
No, but because they used to tape in L.A. I think.
Yeah,
is how they did that.
That's the thing is that
they would air it around at
11. It would come on at 11, so they were trying to get people to just stay watching Matt TV.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Shane? What's your favorite? What was your era of SNL?
My favorite SNL. Well, I liked the '90s before Phil Hartman died.
Rest in peace. Phil Hartman is the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
he was murdered.
Murdered. I don't know. I ain't no snitch. Toby is what get into how his reason of death.
Don't witness nothing. You'll live longer.
He doesn't exist anymore. And then in the 2000s, I was into like the generation of like before what's his name, the Portlandia guy.
Fred Armisen.
Hilarious. Fred Armisen. I have a vinyl of Fred Armisen's band before he did comedy. Trenchmouth. I have the Trenchmouth vinyl. Yes, I do. I'll bring that in. I got the Trench Mouth vinyl.
He's a good drummer. Like he's a good.
Yeah,
musician.
he used to play like punk and like really
What is this?
post-punk music
It up right now.
and then like
what?
Why are you being evil?
He had an affair with Abby Elliott. That's why she got fired.
hot.
Okay.
What?
I don't know. I don't know who these people are.
We gotta do a post. We gotta do
what's
a
his
post
name?
show.
Elliot. What's his first name? Elliot. Chris Elliott.
I know Chris Elliott.
Yeah.
It's a weird looking guy.
That's his daughter? Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. What's she look like? Like him? I hope not.
Not like him.
How's that guy?
She's pretty. I don't know.
Oh.
She's not her.
Wait. What are we talking about? So you're saying that Fred Armisen, she was on the show as well?
Yes, Abby Elliott.
Abby Elliott. Oh shit! I think I remember that now. Yeah.
And then Fred Armisen married the Scientologist chick from fucking Handmaid's Tale. And Mad Men. Mad Men, great show. Anyway, we're getting off the rails. Let's talk about me.
Do you think you would do well in an SNL audition?
I just got a UCB scholarship, so I'm going to be doing
Watch out. You just made fun of Scientology. UCB's basically the same thing. It's kind of the same thing.
Yes, and?
Yes. You got that diversity scholarship?
Yes, I did.
Are you the diversity hire?
I was going to do it, and I figured I could, capitalize on white people's white guilt. That's a thing I do.
That's entirely right.
And then Osama Siddiqui, shout out to Osama Siddiqui, a New York City comic. He told me, it's not enough to just play on race. You got to also tell him, I'm broke as fuck, bro. And I did, and I got it. So thank you, Osama. Appreciate you, bro.
Congratulations. Yeah, you give it.
Thank you in Miami speech 10 years from now. Cool. Thank you, man.
Oh, can I say Julio is amazing. I don't know if y'all don't know him. Y'all should meet him. He's a good time.
Well, here's the thing. I was joking around earlier when Helen came up about my family, everybody's family, oh, you should be on this. This is the only place, the closest you can get. It's fascinating.
Because he moved here. I remember he moved here. He's from Colombia or something.
Sure.
And he moved here, and then
Columbia, Ohio, or Columbia, the country?
The country. He's from South America country.
Way back.
He got his visa. Right before, he was about to get deported, got his visa, and then works fast. I said, "What the fuck? Julio's fast."
He's technically an alien from another planet.
Yes,
through
also
Colombia.
That. Yeah, he landed down there somewhere, and then
he plays that
man
character.
Is strange,
but he's
him.
The total the dream success story of you came to New York and he got on SNL. It's damn, man.
Oh my God.
So anyway, so I'm awesome.
What characters would you bring to the table? What voice? What bits have you written? Because you have to do if you know the audition, you have to do a character.
No, I got a thing for the first time I start at UCB where I'll just do a really sad black single mom story and see how deep I can get into it before they try to give me notes on the joke where I'm just yeah, so she's giving birth to her first kid, and it's it's her dad's kid. I don't know what happens, and then she flunked out of community college and whatever. I don't know.
Just sob.
A Crip is evicting her and whatever, and they're just
Was this in the Post last year? I remember this. Those black kids, they caught her on camera, and all right,
what is happening?
I like to play on white guilt. Someone says something. Anything. It could be I'll have a vodka soda. I'm what the fuck you mean by that?
How do you feel about how do you feel about Michael Che on a Weekend Update desk?
He's fine, I guess.
He's doing that. He got
I know a lot of women who think he hates women. I'm y'all don't know comedians. He don't hate women more than every other guy I know.
Wow.
Have you met dudes?
That is fair.
Y'all don't know dudes.
But he got in a ton of trouble on the because that's his Instagram feed and all his responses to stuff. But on the show,
it'd be funny because every year he'd be deleting his Facebook or something. I'm why you keep coming back, dude?
He's a very dramatic Instagram personality.
Yeah.
But on the show, he got in big trouble for calling Donald Trump a cracker, and then everybody lost their shit or whatever. It was offensive or something like that.
Saltine.
What?
Brittle crackers.
Brittle, just very dry stuff.
Water crackers, Jamaican shit. Little circle things. It's very flaky. They're very good.
He's the body of Christ. What would you...
All of it.
Who's your favorite musical guest? I know you're a music guy.
There are two favorite musical guests. Once I enjoyed when Rage Against the Machine. I'm a Rage fan. That's my favorite band of all time. When they got up, they had the fucking American flag upside down. And it was black and white. They burned it on stage.
They got in trouble too. They got banned, didn't they?
Yeah, they got banned.
Because there's
that
certain people that have
motherfucker
been
Lauren
banned.
need to ban his ass from America. Go back up to Canada with that bullshit.
Either
man.
Rage Against the Machine or I don't know, Kanye. I'm a Kanye fan.
Kanye was.
Oh, he did Black Skinhead.
Yeah. Black Skinhead was actually a great performance. You know,
He's pretty. I'll tell you that. Shane, is there anything you'd like to promote before you
go? Broken Ankles podcast. That's coming soon.
That's your basketball podcast?
Yeah, it's basketball. Some New York guys. We'll have some shorts on the internet.
Name. That's a good name.
We're beating people up. I don't know. We're being heels.
You can catch.
I'm the center of the universe on Instagram. Narcissist Shane on Twitter. I'm hosting Snake Oil September 28th here at the Creek in the Cave at upstairs midnight show on a Friday night. Yeah.
And you can catch him in 2 years when he's done with SNL, with UCB on SNL.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
Shane,
and.
Yes, and.
I also.
Coming up next, give it up for Steve Malloy.
Tulip.
What happened?
All right.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Welcome to the show. Is this your first time on the show?
Yeah, it's my first time.
Congratulations, you've made it. You did it.
Real honor.
Steve, would you like a lesser known SNL cast member?
I would love one. Can I guess?
Oh yeah, let's see. Which one do you think is on this lesser known cast member list?
Lou Dobbs. Lou Dobbs.
You remember him connecting with the youth market and being hilarious, Lou Dobbs? I will tell you this one. Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes, youngest SNL cast member in history.
Yeah, he was on. He's the legend. Sorry, I'm reading two things and trying to say one of the other things. Legendary member of the Brat Pack was only 17 when he was on SNL in 1986. Yeah. That's when they hired actors and not comedians, and the show was terrible. Would you do well in an audition?
No. It would go poorly, very poorly. I don't know if it would go worse for me or whoever booked me on that audition.
Oh, yeah. Like, who's responsible for this motherfucker even auditioning?
Definitely get fired.
Because stand-ups, there's like, it's a rare thing for stand-ups to do well on SNL. It's usually all the character UCB people.
I remember listening to a podcast where John Mulaney was describing his audition. And he's like, I decided to not go for it all, like not try to do something I couldn't do and just be honest. I wouldn't be able to do that. Like my neuroses would take over and I would be like, I can do characters.
It's like, what do you want me to do? Here's a
I'll do anything. Impression. Just please give me this role.
Yeah.
I would beg. I would probably beg to the point of tears.
Well, there was that whole thing about that guy Brooks Wheelan. Does anybody know Brooks Wheelan? Yeah, he came out and they brought him up and he just, I guess, hated it. I don't know what was the big story, but he was there for like a minute. Like he was there for a couple of weeks and then they fired him.
Yeah.
Or he quit or
One season.
He had one. Was it a full season? I heard that. Really?
But he announced that he got fired before they announced it.
Wow.
Okay,
now, if you go see him at Whiplash or the Brick House, like they'll see, or the Bell House.
That's the thing is, I feel like that fucked him up. Like you know, there's so many like in comedy. There's nothing worse than getting something too soon. Where you bomb in front of like the wrong people.
It's most of what he talks about in his stand-up now.
I'm telling you, he's scarred for life now.
Failing, and not to talk shit about a guy on a public medium, but
no,
he does. It has ruined him.
Talk your shit, dog.
Fuck Brooks Wheeling. I could do better than he did.
Yeah. Do you feel? What was your era of SNL? Did you watch SNL?
Yeah, I was like, I was big in the Bill Hader era, like the John Mulaney.
Bill Hader.
The year I was really into it was like the Sarah Palin, like Tina Fey thing when Obama was getting elected. Like, I had a politician on every episode.
Yeah,
that was.
I have a feeling that Bill Hader stuck around so much because he was the best game show host out of all of those things. You know, like there's nothing but game shows. Like one of the things you have to write when you submit, you have to have written like one of them is a commercial parody and one of them is a game show parody. Like all of that is like their bread and butter. So I think he was just great because he had a really good.
He's like got this thing where he tells stories about being so nervous that like if you watch any game show host act he does, he'll run onto the stage, like jog on to the platform, and it's because he would be running in place before it was his cue, and like an associate producer would just push him out, and he would just like start running.
I would love to just be a fly on the wall and behind the scenes on that show, just because I know people who have gone. Like I personally have never watched a taping or the show. Right. Have you ever? Has anyone here ever been
I've never seen it.
To Saturday Night Live? Is it hard to get? I mean, really,
I think it's very difficult.
It's super exclusive,
and like a lot of celebrities go to that, like the after parties and stuff. That's my favorite.
Oh, the after parties.
The after party shows are great. There's this Norm Macdonald story where he's, I can't remember who it was, but he's on stage with some host. And he just whispers, I've got $50,000 in chips in my freezer. And then he goes and takes, because Lauren would pay for limos for everyone to go to the after party afterwards.
Right.
And Norm Macdonald would take the limo and then go to Atlantic City and just gamble instead of going to the after party.
Norm Macdonald was one of those, he was on that show as, like, it always seemed like he was there against his, like, to spite people. Like he was there, he's like, fuck you, I'm on this show. Like someone fired him and then he's just like, no, I'm not fired. And then he was doing Weekend Update and all that shit. Like he was one of those people that was like the anti SNL guys.
It seemed like he was always being talked into being a comedian.
Yeah.
Someone told him like, you have to do it. He's like, all right,
Norm, it's in your contract, you got to be in this.
Yeah, he's like, all right, fine, I'll be Turd Ferguson or whatever. But that was one of his like iconic things. What was your favorite, who's your favorite guest host?
I think Charles Barkley had some of the best sketches, which I know is a deep cut. But his MacGruber episode, that's the one of the few episodes I remember seeing live, or that sketch where he's in the MacGruber. And
I don't remember that one.
MacGruber's like super racist towards him.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
His name's... I can't remember what it is, but MacGruber has to go to sensitivity training and all that.
He's like a black MacGruber, like he's dressed the same way and all that stuff, or what is that?
He's just a member of MacGruber's team, and MacGruber just keeps saying, like, his name's Daryl, and he keeps calling him Darrell, and then the building will explode.
That's an interesting, because they do have there's times where they would have non-actors or comedians that come on. Like one of the funniest. Like, there's this dumb sketch with Eli Manning was a guest host one time, and he was awful. But there's this courtroom sketch where they're reading, like, his tweets, like, his, like, booty, like, trying to get laid tweets. And he's just like trying to like read. He's like, yes, that's what that means. And it's like, and then it's like to as an alibi for that he didn't commit a murder. Right. And they're like, also as proof, we have his internet search history. And he's like, look, I'd really just rather confess to the murder.
Yeah.
They're gonna read out his internet search history. Like that's the kind of stuff he puts like someone like that.
I feel like the Donald Trump guest host is probably the most culturally significant SNL episode to take place. Boy. It wasn't very good, but it was weird as fuck because they have him do the Hotline Bling music video. Like, who wrote this episode? Who allowed for all these things to happen?
And then you hear Lorne Michaels allowed it to happen. Yeah,
I feel like that's why my audition would go poorly. I would just question Lorne Michaels for all his problematic shit.
This guy, the guy who put Trump on?
Yeah. Answer about Fred Armisen and Abby Elliott. I heard about it on a podcast.
Fred Armisen, as much of a monster as everybody is, but he was
as everybody is.
Everybody's a monster. Podcast. They're all horrible. But Fred Armisen had this one character on Weekend Update where he played the timbales, he played the drums. Yes, and he would just, and he'd be like, and then he would do a thing like, ay Dios mío, and I still do that, and nobody knows where the fuck where it's from.
Was it Will Forte and Fred Armisen, or Will Forte and someone would do Hall & Oates for the or political messages, and they would just be like, it would just be that one song. I can't sing or do rhythms, but it was a funny one. Believe you me,
I can't do anything musical.
Yeah, that's why my audition again would go poorly. Like, I'm going to sing now. Never mind.
I think that would go for you. You just like tell everybody, I'm going to do a character. Nope.
This is me.
This is me doing a song. No. What was your favorite movie to come out of SNL?
The MacGruber movie, undoubtedly.
Yes, underrated.
Okay. Very fantastic. There's a scene where, to create a distraction, MacGruber, played by Will Forte, obviously, sticks stalk a celery up his ass and then just like covers his balls and runs out in front of like the enemies.
This movie is so fucking crazy. It's so wild.
Maya Rudolph's in it. She's hilarious. It's one of the funniest movies ever. It's like a fake 80s action movie.
Yeah, it's, I cried. That graveyard scene, I still think about it. It's so fucking funny. Steve, is there anything you'd like to promote before you go?
I host an open mic. No.
That's all right.
That's it. Yeah, thanks.
Old Man Hustle.
Old Man Hustle, New Man Bustle.
Fuck your
Sunday,
shit,
7
Steve.
o'clock.
He's going to let me jump the bucket.
What's that?
No, I'm kidding.
Just get me on this podcast again. You got it, dude.
Yeah. Whatever you want, every Thursday here at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City, Queens. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Steve Malloy. Why is the music? Nah, there we go. Coming up next, Maura Soteria. Yay, hello. How are you? What's up, Maura? Did I get you just as you put food in your mouth?
No, you called my name and I chose to put more food in my mouth.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, brazen coming in here at a difficulty level. Welcome to the show. We're talking about SNL. You've had a lot of input.
Yeah. No, I geek out about this stuff.
What was your SNL era?
My era was late 80s to early 90s, just like 89 to 93. That was
Who were the cast members at that time that you just
Phil Hartman, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey, that's right.
Yeah.
Love Dana Carvey.
Like Dana Carvey faded out before the Bad Boys came in.
Right, yeah.
He was kind of fading, but Carvey was a stand-up, and the Bad Boys were stand-up. You know, Spade and Sandler and Farley. They were stand-ups. That was the era. That was the era, man. You don't understand. The era of, like, the 80s road dogs, you know. You know how, like, those stand-up comics in the 80s, Seinfeld and Tim Allen and everyone who was a successful sitcom guy in the 90s.
They started in the 80s doing all of that.
Yeah, they were just like road dogs, touring around the country.
In that bubble, that boom.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Sandler and Spade and Schneider and not Farley. Farley was improv, but they were stand-ups, but they were like stand-ups were rock stars. They were characters. They weren't.
Yeah. Their bits were that they were a personality.
Yeah, they were.
David Spade, to me, I still think he's hilarious. I love David Spade. He's this snarky piece of shit, and he knows it, and he leans into it, but he's, like, funny about it. You know,
he was always getting bumped for Dana Carvey when he was on the show. Like, he was supposed to do, I think it was Al Gore, and they were getting prepped for him all week, and, like, he was getting ready to do Al Gore, and then they just had Dana Carvey do it at the last second.
No, shit.
He would just be the stand-in for all of Dana Carvey's...
No,
impressions.
I loved him on Hollywood Minute when he would do those things and like
he'd say those bitchy things like 97 called. They asked for your haircut.
Yeah, he would do all that stuff. But at the time, it was like before that was, huh?
Oh, I was saying he is the year 90s.
Yeah, I know.
He's totally that late 90s, like
that joke. That joke that carried.
So you nerd out about SNL. Do you know? Have you ever read the books, the backstories?
I was just reading one of the books a few months ago, but it wasn't those deep books. You know, the books that are like Jane Moore got into fisticuffs.
Yeah. Jay Moore also not really a well-known guy, the cast member. He was on there for like a couple years.
Jay Moore, Jim Brewer's.
I thought Jim Brewer. Jay Moore and Jim Brewer are in the same like pretty boy bucket.
We're talking about like guys who like made after.
It's a pretty boy bucket. It's a bucket of pretty boy stand-ups.
The person I had on the list of lesser-known cast members for you was Paul Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer. The Canadian, the pianist for fucking
for Letterman.
Yeah,
he did like characters on SNL. He was a cast member.
Wait, is that how he got picked to do? Letterman?
I think he was a musician, and then he was involved in doing comedy bits as a musician. Right. I don't know the whole story, but I know he was listed as a cast member, and he did sketches and stuff like that in the like late 70s. And then he got on. I think with music, he got on to the show with Letterman.
Right.
Yeah, CBS Orchestra and stuff. I don't know.
Well, that's like Fred Armisen doing Seth Meyers now. Like he's
Exactly,
the band leader
yeah.
there.
What was your favorite guest host or favorite
guest host? Oh, God, I could have been thinking about this. I don't know. Dwayne the Rock Johnson is always good.
Yeah.
He does good. He shouldn't be that good, right?
When he was doing the Rock Obama, that shit was so funny to me. And then just recently he did a commercial. The last time he was on, he did this commercial for erectile dysfunction.
Yes, with Kyle Mooney as the doctor.
Yeah.
And what are you doing, man? And he's like bleeding out the nose.
Yeah, and it's like,
I can't do that. Are you fucking deaf, man?
Yeah. And he's like, it's like some obscure pill that he gets from his friend. He's like, I asked my doctor about whatever, and his like nose is bleeding, and he roid rages and he murders somebody. Like, it's crazy. He's funnier than he has to be.
Yeah. Right.
But then he was always like the best on the mic in wrestling. You know, like SNL is perfect for him to drop in whenever he wants to.
I prefer SNL to like the presidency of the United States for Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah, I'd rather him just give him a job. Let him be an SNL cast member for something. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
You don't know if he's a good president.
I don't want to find out though by making him president.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah,
He could be a surprisingly good president.
Yeah, let's find out.
Yeah.
What was your? Do you have a sketch or something that informed your language, like that you would catch yourself?
Well, yeah, okay, Wayne's World, but everybody loves Wayne's World. Yeah, my sister and I would pretend to be Wayne and Garth.
That was like you guys would do the.
I was Wayne because I had brown hair, and my sister had really blonde hair, and I would put on a hat and just go like, "Yeah. Excellent, Carla, excellent."
Those movies that came, those were probably my favorite movies. It's hard.
Oh yeah.
Those are probably my favorite movies that come out of SNL.
That scene where they're like doing all the sponsors or the.
It's completely unprecedented. Dun, dun, dun. This is giving me a headache. Have a blueprint.
It just goes to black and white. Little blue, better. Different.
And he's like, who would do something like that? Who would sell themselves out? And he's literally head to toe in Reebok.
You know? It just makes me feel dirty.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that movie is so, and even like the green screen is like, we're in Delaware, you know, like there was so much that came out of that.
There's actually a scene in that movie when they're going through Chicago to Milwaukee.
Right.
It goes right by my neighborhood in Chicago. There's this little steam tower. You can see it for like 1 second. It's the closest I've ever been to being famous.
You live in New York and you're trying to do comedy. You're like, that's the closest I've ever been.
That's my Navy hood. Fucking.
Maura, do you have? Do you think you would do well in one of these auditions for?
I know you have to do 10 characters. You have to do like what is it? 10 minutes to do 10 characters?
Yeah, 10 through the doors.
Wow.
What the older way of doing it. I don't know if they still do that.
Yeah. Did Leslie Jones do that? Did Pete Davidson do that? Pete Davidson barely does one character on SNL. Oh, cheap.
Poor guy. That guy.
I don't know.
Oh no.
That guy is a mess. But
I know.
But he's funny.
He's had a rough life. He's mental illness.
Yeah.
Dad. Yeah.
But also, I think he's one of those people that got on that. Like again, like he got something too early. Like he got it real, you know what I mean? Like he got it real young. They put him on there, and then it's like it could derail the rest of his life.
How could you give a shit if you're that?
Well,
young
he's also a good-looking white man who doesn't reek of good-looking white man privilege.
Right.
You think you find he's an attractive man? I don't know. He's attractive?
Not with the new hair color.
Okay.
Folks who like men, what do you think? Attractive?
I'd give him a kiss.
Yeah.
White?
So just say he's white and that's it?
I'll kiss a white guy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm only kissing white guys? Jesus. What was your favorite musical guest?
I actually liked Salt and Pepper from the Jean-Luc, not Jean-Luc Picard, yeah. Who was Charlie? Yes.
Salt and
Pepper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
peeking out your levels.
That's all right.
He gets so excited to say it, and it's like that seems so inappropriate.
Pepper.
You shouldn't be a fan, Patrick Stewart. That's not you.
What if
Get back in the Enterprise?
He's really funny too. I think Patrick
Welcome
Stewart.
to Erotic Cakes. Women going to the bathroom.
Him when he's on what's that Ricky Gervais show? Extra? Was it Extras or where he's like telling him ideas for things, and he's like, I can control with my mind, and then their clothes fall off, and I've seen everything. You know,
everything.
It's like it's too late. I've seen everything. And that was the whole premise. He just wants to see people naked. Mara, what would you like to promote before you go?
I have a variety show coming up this Tuesday, the 24th, 10 p.m. We're gonna have, and Toby tried to promote it, and then but I wasn't even sharp enough to remember my own show. Tuesday night, 10 p.m. The Van Dam and Spring, the Soho Playhouse, Huron Theater downstairs.
Soho Playhouse.
We're going to have music. We're going to have comedy. We're going to have a clip of a musical comedy web series, so it all ties together.
A multimedia experience.
Extravaganza.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mara Satariel. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, Idris Alton. Will I get in trouble for using the music? I guess. What's up, Idris?
Hey.
What was your... Did you watch SNL?
Yeah, I watch Mad TV more, but I watched SNL.
Okay, not to make a generalization, but is Mad TV the black SNL?
No, but it came on at a good time.
It's way more diverse.
What? It was way more diverse at the time when it came out.
Yeah,
you're right.
It came out at the right time.
And it was like, I remember it was on Fox, and it was at 11.
Yeah.
And then 11:35 or whatever is when SNL started. So I know I would watch the first half of Mad TV all the time.
So wait, SNL came on at 11:30 because I come from the age of where I watched it on YouTube. Like I'd watch the episodes or shows on YouTube more than I would probably watch it live.
What was your... So around what time was that? What era?
I was watching the old era when I would go on YouTube. I would watch like Eddie Murphy episodes, and I'd watch like...
Oh, on SNL.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Like that era of like when you realize how different it was to how people expose themselves to media differently. Like you couldn't, like now you can literally just go back and watch whatever the fuck you want. But imagine like that was on at a certain time, and if you missed it, you fucking missed it.
Yeah, I know. That's why you had to know these people. Like these people were famous, and on a level will never be famous.
Yeah, like there's a level like SNL now. The reason why you don't know everybody's names until they are amazing.
Yeah,
like before you would know, like if you were into it, you knew this person was in this and this person, you knew who they were.
Yeah, I live with this old fucking dude named Brent, and he's like 67, and he's born and raised in New York. So when I talk about Eddie Murphy to him, he's a legend in my head. Yeah. But to him, he's a guy that was a kid on TV.
Fair enough.
So
yeah,
he looks at him like, I mean, he's an all right stand-up, but he was a funny dude on SNL. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's how that was like your first exposure to somebody.
Yeah.
That's how you remember them forever.
Yeah, that's how I see. Like if I